Edmund, the cat. That's all about B. Like a white cat.
Well, it smells like a restaurant in here. One thing that I do promise to do is to create a delivery service that if you don't make enough money, and you can prove to the government that you don't make enough money, then you will have free food delivered to your door. Read my lips. That will be possible, and we'll be able to do that. It'll be for senior citizens and those that are poverty stricken. It'll be called Food. It's a free delivery service sponsored by the government for senior citizens and for poverty stricken people. It'll be called Food4Friends. And it's a free app that you can download and request food. And food will be brought to your door. All you have to do is send in paperwork showing how much you make, and you'll be approved in the app within 48 hours, and the food will be delivered the next day or immediately. And that's one thing that I promise in my campaign is I will promise to feed the poor. Now, Food4Friends, oh cool, there's like a little doll thing on the end of that. Food4Friends is actually sponsored by more than just the government. It's also sponsored by the church, by your local church. And every local church will get a little pamphlet mailed to their church, if they're a religious organization or a charity organization, asking them if they would like to participate in Food4Friends. And what Food4Friends is designed to do is to bring food to senior citizens and to poverty-stricken people that don't make enough money. Even sometimes when they don't even ask for it, the food will be dropped there. And what will happen is if you pull up the app, it'll ask for paperwork on how much money you make. It goes to the app. Then once the paperwork is reviewed, then they are approved for using the app. And it's called Food4Friends, targeting senior citizens that need food and the poverty-stricken at any age with the Food4Friends app. Okay, we're going to talk numbers because I've also taken economics. Anybody that makes less than $10,000 a year qualifies for Food4Friends. And they can either just send in their bank statements or, income tax stuff, H&R Block or, whatever they filed with, Liberty Tax or whatever. They just send in their information showing how much they make. They can send it in through H&R Block, or they can send it in through Liberty Tax, or even through their local church, or they can send it in through the app themselves. They can ask somebody to do it for them, or they can use the app and send in a pay stub, like 2 or 3 pay stubs, things like that, just showing that they don't make enough. Now, here's another important aspect about Food4Friends. It qualifies for all the same food delivery apps that are charitable and things like that. Now, here's something that's important. Now, if you have proof of your garnishment, let's say the government is garnishing your wages, and you have proof of the garnishment, you can also send that in to Food4Friends, and they'll qualify you, and you'll be able to get the food dropped off at your door. Food4Friends is a very important app. Like I said, it targets senior citizens or people that need help in food, and it helps the poverty-stricken people. So people that just can't afford to have food. And they just press on the app and the food goes right to their doorstep. It's sponsored by the government, your local church, and charitable organization. Any charitable organization that wants to participate in feeding the poor can do so. All they have to do is qualify. More information about Food4Friends app. Now, it is sponsored by the government, or it will be sponsored by the government, and your local church, and other organizations that support the poor. See, the government supports the poor people. So what they do is they pull up the app and they send in their last 2 paychecks. That's one option. Then they review it, and then in 48 hours, they qualify, and then they can get the food. Now, if there's any garnishment, let's say if someone's being garnished because of IRS or something like that, and they're still trying to survive, and they show on their paycheck the garnishment, or through an email or something like that, through ADP or whatever, they can send that in to the app for Food4Friends, and they will be able to receive food. Now, the important thing about Food4Friends is they don't have to have the end of the year income tax return. They don't have to have that because, well, heck, if you're starving, you can't wait a whole year, right? So you would want to mostly just send in the first couple of paychecks, okay? People can go, like a week without food. They shouldn't, but people do. People are starving right now because of COVID and a lot of other stuff. So it should take about 48 hours for the government to approve of it. And then also the local church can help too, because they can have kiosk at the local church where they can actually sign up for Food4Friends and qualify. Now, let's show the paycheck, right? To show how many hours they worked, how much they were paid, and then they would do the math to figure out. Now, here's another thing that's great about food. Now, here's another cool thing about Food4Friends too. If you're a senior citizen or you're someone that's suffering and you're poverty stricken at any age, you can also go to a local cafe, restaurant, or fast food establishment, and they'll have a kiosk set up there at, like, let's say Kentucky Fried Chicken, or, Schlotzsky's, or McDonald's, or Pizza Hut, or Little Caesars Pizza, where you can sign up at the kiosk for Food4Friends, and it'll ask you questions like how much do you make a year and stuff. Then it'll send you the app, or they can go by QR, which is quick response. And it'll send you the app, and then you just fill out the information, turn in the paperwork, and within 48 hours, then you can qualify for Food4Friends, and you can get food from various places, whether it be McDonald's, Golden Corral, your local grocery store. Yeah, here's another thing cool about Food for Friends. So you can go into your local grocery store and find a Food for Friends kiosk. This is whenever it launches. And you just put in the information, or you can do a QR scan and the app will pull up. Then you just put in your name, and there will be the first one is, are you able to afford food for your family, or are you able to afford food for yourself? Then you fill out that question, and that's the first thing it goes by. It's a yes or no question. The answer is yes, I can afford food for myself, or no, I cannot. Then it kicks in 48 hours, then it starts to deliver food to you. Now, here's a cool thing. Eventually, it does a follow-up with emails, because you have to put in your email. And in the follow-up with the email, that's when you send all the paperwork in, because it's important to get the food first, okay? It still have a 48-hour thing. It'll take about 48 hours, and then you qualify. Here's what's really cool about Food for Friend. You don't even have to have an address. That's the cool thing. There'll be pickup stations, right? So on Food for Friends, there'll also be a pickup station where you can get your groceries or hot food. Hot food's very important with Food for Friends. And you can go to that point and just show them your app or the QR scan. They can do a QR scan, and it'll show that you qualify. And then you just go up there and pick up your food. So you can go to they'll have like tents and stuff set up. So that you just go up there and show them the app, show them that you qualify, and then the food is there. You can even select the food that you need, because people do need certain types of food, and it'll be there at the pickup station. Or you can also use an address too. So if you want to use an address, you can put that into Food for Friends as well. Now, of course, there will be fines and stuff for people that don't tell the truth. And then the government will be in charge to making sure that those people have to, pay a certain amount if they had to use the Food for Friends app. And let's say they made $11,000 that year rather than just $10,000 and under. It only qualifies for people that are $10,000 and under and poverty-stricken, and senior citizens. Now, senior citizens are different. They don't always look at the income on the senior citizen, because they may have problems getting the food. That may be like a transport thing, like they can't go to the store, but they may make $100,000 a year, but they can still qualify for the app and the use of the app for the delivery. But they may have to, the senior citizen may have to pay a little bit, but not a big charge, but they'd still qualify for the app. But if they're let's say it's a senior citizen's making $100,000 a year or something like that, then they may have to explain that they make a lot of money, but they want to use the app because the app, they trust the app or whatever. Then they can be a contributor, and they would just ask them for, a donation or something like that. They can do there can be a segment for Food for Friends where you can donate, so you can still use the app, but you can donate whatever amount you want. So say Uber Eats, right? You're gonna say, should I use Uber Eats or Food for Friends? Well, let's say they choose Food for Friends, but they want Food for Friends because Food for Friends is faster. So they say, do you make more than $10,000 a year? They say yes. Then it says, how much would you like to donate for your delivery? And then they give them the option, And we know that those types of people will donate more money, and that's a form of like donation. So there'd be like a service for those that want to donate. That way they're giving money and someone's doing a service for them. And that will be all, that'll be all explained with the government and your local church. And a local charitable organization would all figure that out. So other people can use the delivery service because it'll be the #1 delivery service, and an important one, because the government will be behind it. And not only the government will be behind it, but your local church will be behind it. And not only the local church will be behind it, but a local charitable organization will be behind it as well. That way, everybody gets their food and everybody's happy. Nothing like a cowboy pushing a stroller. Right, we're trying to get to the Spring Hills Suite. Now, this is what I call Willie Nelson Town. This is the Fort Worth Stockyards, and that's Cattleman Steakhouse right there. very famous. Now, my father and I had a dream. We were going to open the new ISIS theater. We were going to make it an actual theater. Now, it's a cinema. Owen Wilson actually came in and helped redesign this entire theater for an opening of one of his movies. So Hollywood actually came in and redesigned this theater. They put a lot of money into it. It was an abandoned theater for many years. So there was cobwebs and dust, and it was all rusty and not very safe. And Hollywood came in and they made it very safe, and anyone can go to this movie theater and see a movie. They redesigned the entire thing. Owen Wilson was behind it. You know, Luke and Owen Wilson, they're movie stars. Well, they were actually behind and rebuilding this theater right here, this cinema house. And they came here on the premiere of the reopening of the new ISIS. Isn't that something? Right next to Taco Heads. Saw a sign, looked like Willie Nelson. I don't know if he's gonna be playing or not. There's a lot of people here today. Boy, howdy, let me tell you, this guy I talked to, major butthole. This is actually old Gringo Boots right here. Brat wants his food to be picked up right there. It's called the Spring Hill Suites. He'll definitely not qualify for Food4Friends unless he pays a donation. Since I've been doing this kind of stuff, I've never been talked to as rude in my entire life. Very rude individual. He's lucky to even get his food.
That's 1-855.
Hi. Yeah, he looks like he's probably drunk. Drunk on power or something. That's where he wants his food dropped off right there. Spring Hill Suites, wearing a cowboy shirt. Rude as can be, because I called him for direction. I hate those freaking people that are just rude. You're trying to help. Forget your
And more.
Don't forget your Latino Arts Theater. I worked with them too. And I'll battle with Bluetooth all the way there. Now, this is where the campaign begins. Fort Worth, Texas. That's where the work needs to be done first. Then we'll work it all the way across the nation, from California up to Washington, all the way across through Chicago to New York, all the way down to North Carolina, South Carolina to Florida, and then back up to DC. The last place that I'll visit for my campaign will be Washington, DC, because those are the most important voters to change, the ones that think they know. And the reason why Fort Worth, Texas is an important campaign area is because two of my favorite people in history have come through Fort Worth. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. some of the greatest people in our nation because they knew things were wrong and they did something about it. Plus, they hung out with a cool lady named Etta Place. Those are my two favorite historical characters, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Oh, besides Bonnie and Clyde, who were executed by law enforcement. Bonnie and Clyde were cool too. But Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, now that would make two good running mates for presidency and vice president. Why not? Although they can't because they've already passed away. One was killed by the Mexican army and the other one was probably killed by Butch Cassidy. I have a feeling that Butch Cassidy killed Sundance Kid to try to get closer to Etta. Who knows? But that's why I like them. I like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid because they knew things were wrong. Now, this area of Fort Worth is where John F. Kennedy showed up one day before he was executed by a radical known as Lee Harvey Oswald. And Lee Harvey Oswald was a proclaimed communist, and he killed JFK in cold blood. 2 successful shots by a sniper. He was almost as deadly as John Wilkes Booth. The only thing is Abraham Lincoln was a more important president at the time.